And
Yeah.
these are the tools that might be important at the dinner table this week. If you're going to eat for Thanksgiving, I can see situations where it's like, hey, last Thanksgiving or the Thanksgiving before that, Uncle Tom came to dinner spewing all type of crazy shit. I'm showing up to this dinner like shielded and guarded and not even wanting to talk to Uncle Tom. But Uncle Tom may have had a reckoning since the last time y'all talked. He might be a different person this time. He might show up wanting you to know or see that he's had a change of heart. But you might, because you protecting your heart, come and not even want to engage with Uncle Tom. And so that leads to, how do we allow for the growth of people while advocating for and making sure that we have everything that we need for our own growth? What up, my friends, and welcome to The Friend Lab. We're your host and good friends, Bryce III.
And Liz McKean. And if you're here to cook up some friendship.
Keep that. We know that it's hard to make friends, and it can be a challenge to keep friends and be a friend. So building connections in your life is something that you're looking to get better at. You're in the right place.
Friendship and connection and relationships of all kinds are the best kind of challenge. It's the thing that makes being a person worth being a person. We're excited to share our friendship with you.
So throw your lab coats on and let's get this experiment jumping. In the Friend Lab.
In the Friend Lab. Here we go.
What up, everybody, and welcome to, I guess, what will be the very first episode of the Friend Lab podcast.
The very first episode. How exciting is that? We're so excited that you're here. We need more words aside from the word excited. We're going to cut that part out.
You know how production goes, though. Like, this is not the first episode. We've been in the lab for maybe the past 3 weeks, kind of cooking up what the show is and how we want to continue to present it and the resources we want to bring, the conversation we want to have, and the space that we want to create here with you all, the friends. New to you, old to us. But it is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So what is it, like November 25th?
I don't know. Time has lost all
Time is a construct anyway, Liz.
I know. It definitely is. The fun thing is, though, that like, it might not even be new to someone listening to hear you and I on the mic. You know, this isn't our first podcast that we've done together. So I almost feel like we're talking to some old friends. But what's so fun about this podcast, and something that I'm definitely thankful for, is that like it's this time it's just really us. It's always been us, but we had a very specific topic, and now we're the topic.
We're the topic, kinda. You all listening are the topic. We're all the topic, because ultimately, like, what we're here to discuss, dig into, look through the lens of is connection, friendship, the building and maintaining friendships and connections. And a lot of that digs back into the work that we do on ourselves and the way that we become a magnet for the relationships that we end up participating in. And so it's going to be a lot of digging deep, but also, no leash as to what direction we need to go in. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And just like, we're the topic, like the almighty we, like you, me, everybody that's here. I think that's the correct way to say it.
Yeah. So to get our first episode jumped off, we have a piece of content from, we're going to put it on the screen or put it somewhere, from at Just a Hiking Viking, the amazing name. And it's kind of like this carousel of, mountains somewhere. Every picture is like a different mountain. And he's just like super joyful in his face. But you know how they got the carousel, got the words on it. So the first one say, "It's strange. Old friends don't know who I am now, and new friends don't know who I used to be. Like, nobody sees the full picture of me anymore." Second slide. "The people who knew my past can't always understand my growth, and the people who know my present can't always feel the weight of where I've come from." Third slide. "Sometimes it feels like I exist in pieces, different versions of me living in different timelines of people's memories." And last slide, "But maybe that's the beauty of it. I'm the only one who holds all of me, past and present, in one whole picture." That's pretty profound, Liz. What led you to find this piece of content significant and to like share this?
I actually don't even know how I found this piece of content. Because I'm just looking, and this isn't even someone that I follow. I mean, we probably should need to credit this person who put this lovely reel together, or not reel, carousel together. But what made me click it is just how much it felt relevant, how much it felt like, yeah, that's 100% true. There's people in my life who I have known, like our relationship has lived primarily in this time period where I've been in recovery. There's people that only knew me before. There's people who have known me throughout, but definitely feel the most connected from my perspective, anyways, to some previous versions of me. There's every relationship is like a different kind of snapshot of your life, and I feel like there are some friendships that really grow, like where friends grow together. There's others where people grow apart, and all of that is kind of like, well, yeah, obviously, duh, like that's just life, that's just being a person. But I think it's important to put words to, because I feel like I've had countless conversations with people who talk about a friend or a relationship or something where this, like, their kind of feelings are hurt because this friend like is expecting them to be a different version of them. I think it probably happens the most that in recovery kind of spaces where somebody's like, I can't be around my old friends anymore because they only know that old, they only want to be around that old version of me, that old, like, partying version or whatever. So now I have to find new friends. And then it's really easy to get into the habit of kind of feeling like that as you grow, your entire relationship kind of ecosystem has to change entirely. And I think that's not entirely true. I mean, when it comes to safety, like if you're somebody who is like, I don't want to do drugs anymore and these friends only want to hang out with me if I do drugs, that's a little bit different. But if it's just like, all we've ever done is party together and now I don't, like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a relationship that can be part of your life, but just maybe in a different way. And I think it's also okay to acknowledge that sometimes people are in your life for a season and not forever. And it makes it complicated to be a person having relationships in the world. And it just felt like something that was pretty relevant for the Friend Lab.
Well, I mean, I think the reason that when we were considering creating a show, why I thought that this container would be one that could stand the test of time is because as a person in recovery, for those who don't know us or haven't tapped into anything that we've created previously, like I am a person in recovery from substance use disorder. And the experience that Liz is talking about of like a major change in my life, kind of shifting the way that my community had to look and needed to not look anymore, was an experience that I dealt with substantially at first, but still to this day, like incrementally, and it's something that kind of just is always continuing. Like my relationships, one, are the biggest contribution to the experience that I'm having, but two are also the biggest challenge to my recovery and just me being a human being in life. Like, how do I show up for people, especially when I bump into a person that is a type of person that I've never like experienced before? If I'm looking to create connection, what is it about me that is not attracting the connections that I want to experience? If I no longer want to experience a type of person in my life, like how do I how do I how do I separate from that experience in a gracious and compassionate and understanding way without like judgment of a person, and leaning away from judgment of people and more into advocacy of self and what it is that I need. And this is like a whole 52 season Netflix series. We could sit here and talk about this in the way that life continues to manifest, whether it's like political, socially, or more in a microcosm within closest, like this Thanksgiving. So a lot of us are dealing with, do I go to my uncle house for this, or like what they gonna talk about when I go to my grandparents' house and we sit around the table? Like, is there gonna be like polarizing conversations? I don't really want to be a part of it. I don't feel heard. I don't feel seen. And this is like the family that I was given. Some of us
Mm-hmm.
don't have family, so like this is a space in which like we start to feel uh, those lonely emotions where it's like, damn, I'm looking at everybody else, and they getting together, and they having a good time, and they breaking bread, and I'm at the crib watching 52 seasons of a Netflix show. You know, and the through line from all those experiences are the relationships that we participate in. And so I think this piece of content that you share is pretty interesting because the most important relationship that I've participated in is the one with myself. And like how you say, it's strange. Old friends don't know who I am now, and new friends don't know who I used to be. Like nobody sees the full picture of me anymore. But you know who's been there the whole fucking time? This guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when I was doing all the things that I wouldn't do now, and that it would seem abnormal to this person who only knows me how I manifest now if I did those things. Like I was there, and I'm here now in a way that the person who only knew me then and can see through the lens from a previous version of me and like maybe projects that on me to where it's like, oh, he can't be responsible. He can't be this. He can't be that. There's no way because that's not who he was. Like I'm here now and I see all of the work that I put in to be who it is that I am here today. But like that work in that understanding is rooted in the relationship that I have with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the question here is, is there an order of operations, Liz, of relationships that we pour into? Is it safe to say that if we were to use the PEMDAS of relationships, for those who don't know what PEMDAS is, it was the thing that we used to do math back in the 90s, where it was a PEMDAS, PEMDAS, and it's like P, it's like you start with the parentheses, then you do A or E the equations, then M multiplication, whatever. It just gave you an order of operation to like attack like the math problem. In the order of operations of relationships and connections, is it safe to say that the relationship that we have with ourselves is always to be prioritized when it comes to showing up for relationships?
I don't know that life is tidy enough for that to always be true. Like I think in an ideal state, yeah. And I mean, and the way he ends that carousel is to say like, I'm the one who holds all of me. I'm the one who holds like every season of me, And I don't know about you, but like I really wasn't able to hold all of me and like accept all of me and be okay with someone else reflecting back a version of me that I didn't feel like still was accurate. I That is something I had to put a lot of work into to get to the point that I feel like I could read that every slide and be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So if the identity part and like the self knowing part and the relationship with self thing had to be first before I could have any real relationships in my life, I mean, I would have been 40 something years old before I could have a single real relationship. And I don't think that's trying to say real relationship a few times, by the way. This is really a tongue twister for me today. um, anyways, I don't know if I would have. It's the start before you're ready of humaning that just happens. Like a baby takes their first step and they fall down, but you just keep taking more steps and eventually they're able to like have the earth under them to the point they could even walk on a tightrope if they needed to, or maybe that was something that the baby wanted to do someday in adulthood. So I think yes, like I definitely agree and would say that relationship with self and knowing who you are and holding all parts of you is a thing that if we all were doing that, I mean, what a wonderful world it would be. But I also think if we wait for that, we're never going to have any relationships and connections. And sometimes that learning happens through relationships and connections, even when we are in the shit, like when we're like mid learning. And I mean, I think that's the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah. I
What do you
mean,
think?
the reason I lobbied the question like I lobbied it is because I know that we are never uh all in one bucket.
Fully cooked.
And I mean, even thinking about like me and my current season, like I borrowed perceptions from other folk of me to help
Yeah.
become who it is that I'm becoming. And
Hmm.
so when it comes to like holding all of me, like I can't, I'm not even all the way baked yet, you know?
Hmm.
So like
Hmm.
I don't even know what all of me is. And so sometimes I got to go in different spaces where people look at me a certain type of way so that I can form up who it is that I'm becoming in a way that I don't necessarily hold the key to. Like the community holds the key to that.
Hmm.
And there's been multiple times where I didn't think I was capable of or didn't have the strength to continue to persevere. And I get around other people, and whether it be by other people sharing their stories with me in a way that like makes me feel not so alone, or like literally pouring into me in a way that sees me as bigger and more stronger and more capable than I felt myself to be at that point in time. I became something more
Hmm.
due to the way that other people see me and approach me, and like the story that they told through the way that they looked at me, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. It makes me think of, we had a conversation on the Rise Recover Live podcast, I believe, with our friend Caleb, where we were talking about, there's I feel like a pretty widely held philosophy that says, you can't, in this case it was recovery, so you can't like get sober or whatever, but I think we could apply this to a lot of different like big changes in life. You can't do it for another person, like people who are like, I'm going to do it for my kids, I'm going to do it for my spouse, I'm going to do it da 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 da. And it's like there's a lot of thought leaders, I would say, who are like, no, it's not going to stick until you do it for yourself. And I think, again, yeah, but also, like in that conversation, and I feel like I'm close enough to Caleb that I can say this and he would be okay with me repeating something he said in another very public forum. Like, he was able to even consider recovery because his mom was sick, and like he wanted to be there for her during this really scary time, like this illness. And you know that over time evolved into something that he found, like joy and healing in, and to this day is um the man that he wants to be. But like, I think it's okay when sometimes that first step has to be, that's why we're on this podcast, right? Because that's why relationships are so important and why they matter so much. And like what you're talking about, where you might not have seen in yourself what somebody else had seen, but then they see it and they reflect it back to you, and now you can see it, so it still does end up being something that you're able to walk away with. And like that last slide on the Instagram thing, that he's like, I can hold all of me, but I bet one of the reasons he's able to is because of walking through all those relationships. um I don't want to switch if you have something else you wanted to say about this, but I have a question for you in this realm that I can pin if you wanted to say something else about that, what I just
I'm not going to shoot.
said. Okay. So I'm asking, I've been noticing in myself a shift in this. So I'm wondering how this feels for you, because I know you and I have, lived a lot of lives within our lives. We like to change things and try things out, and there's been a lot of versions of us that we, I think, work pretty hard to integrate. But I'm wondering how it feels maybe now versus how maybe it would have felt a few years ago, to have a person who knows you or has known you in some way basically say to you that you are this thing that you no longer identify as. So for me, that is, somebody might say like, oh, that's right, you're oh my gosh, what's the thing that I haven't done in a really long time, like, you're working in a real estate office or something like that, or just something that it's like, oh god, that's so far gone from who I am that suddenly I feel like you don't know anything about, you don't see me at all. And or like, you are just this thing, like I have, this is you're a yoga teacher, and like in my world you could tell me all the other things that you're doing, but I'm going to zoom in on this one thing that you are to me. And I'm wondering how that feels, and if that even makes sense, the question I'm asking you.
Yeah, nah, I'm not going to reflect the question back, but I'm going to
Well, that
answer.
would be hard.
I'm gonna answer with the energy that I picked up from it. I think it's taking me like if I'm not tapped in, to that relationship with myself, it like that experience can be a bit tumultuous.
Okay.
I'm actually going through a bit of that now, which is like, well, I'm forcing myself to be outside because I realize like, oh dang, like creatively and professionally, I've shifted a bit, and I go outside and I get feedback from the community and hear like the stories that have resonated. And it's like, oh yeah, you're doing that. I was like, yeah, not really. Or like have somebody ask me like, this is, this is like what are you out here doing? And then I respond with antiquated answer. And it's like, that's not necessarily even
Mm.
what I feel that I'm doing or focused on or concentrated on right now professionally and creatively. And so um, I think there's different levels. One, like professionally and creatively, it's like a game for me, where it's like the what somebody says is kind of like uh, part of the result of the work that I've done thus far. And it's like, if it's reflected back in a way that's maybe not in alignment, then it's like, okay, I got to go back to the drawing board and figure out like, okay, how do I create something or how do I contribute to the story in a way that like tells the story of what it is that I'm really on. When
Mm-hmm.
it comes to like personally, say like, somebody you used to be in a relationship with, sees you out and the way they treat you, it just feels energetically like that treatment belongs to a previous version of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're in the shit. Now we're in the shit
Okay.
because it's like I've been in seasons where like do I take that personally? I've been in seasons where there's a bit of insecurity around and feeling like I have to like prove to this person that I'm different. And
Yep.
so it's like, maybe a little bit more over explaining or like
Mm-hmm.
extra, like doing a little bit of extra, helping people clean up and looking at them and just like this is the person I am now. I help and then the feeling of like the showmanship and kind of like fraudulent nature of like that performative I'm
Become like a
I'll show
caricature of yourself.
I'll show you who I am. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, who I am is just who I am. I don't have to show it. Why does this person's viewpoint or the way that they look at me and see me, why is it important to me? And once again, just to reflect on what we was talking about earlier, like there is one, there is no black and white, and the saying like, "Hey, whatever you think about me is not that's not on me." It helps in certain seasons, and also like let's be honest, like if you think something about me that like I don't feel about myself, and you're in any way of any importance to me, like that sucks. It sucks. It sucks. If you
Mm-hmm.
think that I am a liar or I steal or I'm a cheat because like that's what you knew me to be in a previous season of my life and I'm no longer that, like, and then you show up and you say a thing and it's like reflective of like who it was that I was and not who it is that I've been for the past 10 years, like that sucks. And I want you to know that that's not the case, but also like knowing and me being are not, they can't be, like knowing has to play second banana to me being. And so
Mm-hmm.
if
Right.
you know that like I'm this chump, liar, stealer, cheat, but I am being not that, then I have to find like resolve and solace in the fact that, I'm not that.
That's an
And, people, place, and things, I have no control over what it is that you think about me. And
Yeah.
these are the tools that might be important at the dinner table this week if you're going to eat for Thanksgiving, and I can see situations where it's like, hey, last Thanksgiving or the Thanksgiving before that, Uncle Tom came to, the dinner and he was spewing all type of crazy shit. And so like I'm showing up to this dinner like shielded and guarded and not even want to talk to Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tom may have had a reckoning since the last time y'all talked. He might be a different person this time, and he might show up wanting you to know or see that he's had a change of heart. But you might, because you protecting your heart, like come and not even want to engage with Uncle Tom. And so that leads to like, well, how do we allow for the growth of people while advocating for and making sure that we have everything that we need for our own growth.
Yeah, and where our responsibility lies in that is, I think, different depending on the relationship. Because, if it's Uncle Tom or, one of your parents or something who like has behaved in a way that has made you feel a certain way, and now you come there guarded, or, maybe again, I was thinking the Thanksgiving table too, and I'm thinking of parents who treat their adult children as still children, and that can be kind of painful for people that are like, I'm a whole ass person now out there, running a company or something. And if that was a friend, I think this is an interesting like component of relationships in general for me, where there have been times where there have been friends that like relationships, the season has ended like on that relationship because we cannot grow up together. Like there's been like we stopped knowing each other at this point, and on one side or the other or both sides, we just can't see each other for who we are now, and that's just going to be painful. But then, when it comes to family members, like I think there's always a decision to be made. Like, do you want to heal in this way? Do you want to see a person in their new self, or maybe you just don't talk to Uncle Tom anymore because you only see him once a year anyways, like, or, so there's always choice involved in it. And I think it's easy to just try to make it black and white. Like you said, like there is no black and white because it's easy to, in our human brains, I know it's just like, I want it to just be one way or the other. If somebody does this, I want to just like have them be done, have them be out of my life forever.
Yeah.
But that could be a really lonely existence. And I think it's
I
worth it to
mean,
at least allow the nuance in.
yeah, a lot of nuance in, and also it's contextual because
Yeah.
it might could be a very freeing experience,
Yeah.
depending on how much work we've done thus far to like
Mm-hmm.
fit this person into our lives, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I think I'm done, or at least for
Yeah.
like this season, I think I'm done, and it'd be liberating.
Yeah.
And nobody necessarily has the answer for you, but I think it's important for you to know that like you're not alone in navigating that. You're
Mm-hmm.
not alone in navigating that. You're not alone in having the experience of like, hey, like the world is burning around me and I don't have even the space to like teach this person these things, even though this person is my uncle and I love them and it was there since I was a kid. Like I don't have the time nor the capacity to like let this person know that this thing is important or that
Mm-hmm.
the things that I believe are and this is why I believe these things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that a lot of people believe, and we in America, you know how that shit goes. So when you get around the table, some of that conversation might be at the forefront, and navigating that could be tough, and it could be easier to just put that shit to the side, especially when
Mm-hmm.
that I gotta pay my bills this month, or I got two kids to raise. Like, I'm how much energy do I put to the reparation of like the so this is a thing. This is a thing that I've experienced, and like fuck it, let's dig in. Like I love my daddy. I love my daddy to death. Like my daddy, a really dope individual. And the role that he's played in my life hasn't necessarily been of like father, which is cool. I've reconciled. But, but like I find it some days he'll call me and I'll be going through some like dad shit because right now, like trying to show up for my son it's been interesting. We've just had a stint of like not talking to each other for like 2.5 weeks, and this is new, and he'll be 20 in December, and you just said like your parents treating you like, you still a kid when you feel that you've grown, and like I'm trying to navigate that with intentionality, compassion, and understanding, also like stuff with my daughter and making sure I'm showing up in ways that acknowledge the experience of being a woman, which I'll never have like firsthand. and like hold space in ways that for, I just don't feel nice. And so I don't want to do these things that like, well, do I force you to do it? No, I don't think so. But like, how do we have a conversation? Do I take the electronics away? Do I, but I don't want it to feel punitive if I do. So I'm going through all this shit and hear your ass go calling me and you probably like, hey man, I seen that thing on social media you did. And I'm like, bro, like I just don't like you wouldn't even understand, bro, because like inherently within our relationship, like you
But
just wouldn't
that,
understand, bro. You was never as intentional about this shit that like I can never have like a trillion billion percent deep conversation with you about this shit. Cause like if you understood this shit, it would have been different. And not to say that I'm resentful, but it's like how do I reconcile? And so it's sometimes I just gotta like put that to the side because right now like this that I've chosen to do in these relationships that like I like these two humans, no matter how tumultuous it is, like there's this weird thing that goes on genetically in my body, like, hey, they didn't ask to be here. So like how do I show up and nurture in a way that like considers that? I don't know. I don't fucking know anything. But it's hard to like hold that and also like, hey man, I'm trying to meet up with you and go get some lunch. It's like, okay, cool. It's like, well, let's meet for lunch. Well, the Lions game is coming on. Fuck, what you talking about? Like, why did you try to like? Why I gotta like? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and there's no rights or wrongs within any of that. It's just all like contextual and nuanced and messy and human, and that's what relationships are. And so we
Okay.
need you to know that like if you going through what you going through, whether it's like, hey, they're out of my life, I don't call them, I don't talk to them, or it's like, hey, like I want them to be in my life, but they have these crazy radical views, and I just don't know how to hold
Okay.
space for it. Or if it's like, hey, they're in my life consistently, but I feel like I'm not seen even when we're together. You're not alone.
Yeah, and the whole idea of like people being in your life for a season, again, that I said earlier, I think that doesn't even necessarily mean just one season. Like things can come back around. Like there can be a time where it's like you so much shit going on in your own life that somebody coming that just wants to grab lunch and talk about they're just going to talk about themselves the whole time, or they're going to, only want to have this very surface level friendship where you're in a place in your life that you really need depth and you really need somebody you can like talk about this stuff that you're going through with. Like that's just not the season for that relationship to be quite as close as maybe it will be in another season. Because also, I don't know about you, but I have friends that are like time capsules that like that is just so valuable to me that like I'm not going to reach out to if I'm in it. Like if I'm having, there are days that I am just like I'm spiraling, like I'm haven't gotten a good night's sleep in a week, and I'm feeling really stressed about something that I feel like I shouldn't even feel this way about, and like I'm questioning the feelings about the feelings about the feelings, and like there are people like you that I could call in that moment and go like deep into that madness, and like you would get it, and like just be able to be there for this moment, and there are others who absolutely wouldn't be able to hold that. And like, it would be so unfair for me to expect that from them because that's just not the relationship. But, next year when the anniversary of something cool that we did once like comes up, like we're going to go have lunch and talk about it and like talk about the experiences we had back then. And we are the only ones who were there for that, and this person, I'm so lucky to still have them in my life because like I got to share that or those experiences or that period of my life with them, and like they're still here and we can still have that memory, and like that's how we stay connected now. And like it's makes me think of if you are a person in like a marriage or a partnership or something like that, like that's so beautiful. And also I feel like the the healthiest my marriage ever has been, which really I would say is now, is because like we know each other, and we also have other people in our lives. Because I think to just expect everything from one person or just expect all your needs to be met by every individual, like the only way you can be in my life is if you are going to be able to hold all of these things for me, it's just not a thing that you can expect from people. I wouldn't want people to expect that from me, but I still want to have people that I get to enjoy life with. And that's the spectrum. I think that's why we're doing this podcast, because I just don't think there's a lot of conversation about that huge spectrum of relationships that can happen, and how, there can be a person who you feel very hurt by in this one area, but also there's so much value to that relationship in this other area. And sometimes you have to hold both of those things at the same time. And sometimes you can't. So that just has to be not in your ether for a little bit of time. And it all counts. And it's all part of this like tapestry that makes up our lives and who we are. And it's all part of framing that identity that we get to, you know, be the ones that are there for from start to finish. And I'm just so glad it's as messy as it is, because how boring would it be if it was just any other way?
Hmm. No, it'd be boring. It'd be
I know.
boring because
Sometimes boring is a little attractive, but in the grand scheme of things, I know you and I, neither of us do very well with boredom.
nah, it'd be boring. But yeah, so we're super interested in building a relationship with you all, our good friends, and we want you to take advantage of the support that's here. So send in your stories about, you know, Uncle Tom, and like, I don't like to say advice, but if you want to work through, hey, I'm trying to show up for Uncle Tom. He ain't, you know, I love him,
Uncle
but
Tom, all the Toms out there, we're sorry. We're picking on you.
he believes that, you know, the whales are really birds or whatever, something radical. I don't know. Who knows, right? Hit the Substack. Come join the group in the Substack. We should have like a thing where you can leave a voice note right now too. Do all the things. Connect with us.
It'll be in the show notes.
Right. We want to flesh out this show in a way that's like it's not just me and Liz. It's us. Like this is a space for us to work through things, be better support, be better understanding, and ultimately be better friends.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you in the lab.
We're cooking it up in the
We're
lab.
cooking it up. Eureka.
Hey, have a wonderful holiday, everybody, and whatever you're doing. If you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people, if you're chilling by yourself, if you're eating good, if you're just eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, whatever you're doing, we send you love, energy, support, and all that good stuff your way. We'll talk to you on the next episode of The Friendly.